So let's start. My name is Lev Yakupov. I'm the head of marketing at TrueConf, and together with me, Rudolf Kotler. He's the head of partnership relations, and most of you well known him. And today, me and Rudolf will deliver for you the latest updates of our product called TrueConf Server. We recently released the new version 4.7. This is a kind of major release for us because we put a lot of work, a lot of efforts to make it to move our product in new generation platform, to update internals of our product, update internals of our server, to make it more robust, to increase the performance, and we will cover in details all the updates we have in this release. So if you have any questions, feel free to use chat. If you'd like to get onto the podium and ask your question in person, please wait until the end of this webinar. We will have a couple of minutes in the end to put you on the podium if you'd like to be presented. And my assistant in chat will troubleshoot you with any questions you might have. So let's go. We have 33 participants. That's quite good. Better than the last time, Rudolf. As I remember, there was like 20 or something. We did the same webinar last week in Russian, and we had 150 participants, 5 times more. So it's like a very small audience today, but we will deliver you all the updates we have. I think it will be better for me to share my screen instead of the slides. So I love real-time demonstrations. So I stop the slideshow and I will share my screen. This is the presentation we have. Okay. So first of all, as you might know, the current release, not the current, the previous one, the release of TrueConf Server was labeled 4.5. And now we're presenting to you the new release, which is 4.7, and it is very interesting for all of you. What happened to the release version 4.6? Why it is missing? Well, actually, it is not missing. It was our internal release, which we only shared with only limited number of our enterprise customers to troubleshoot issues it might have. The version 4.6 existed only during the last quarter of the 2020 year. And after the release of 4.7, it's not exist anymore. So, but we decided to put the new version a new number because a lot of things have changed in version 4.6 and a lot of things have changed in the 4.7. So in general, what we did, we spent almost 2 years. It was a long journey to completely rewrite and optimize. Developers call this refactoring and optimization of the internals of our server. So first stage was to move our solution into 64-bit architecture, which is essential for nowadays CPUs, which is essential for Linux platforms. And starting from version 4.6, the TrueConf Server is a full 64-bit application. And we started this project a long time ago, but successfully merged that branch of the development process into the release branch by the end of the last year. And after that, we merged another big chunk of our work, which is labeled 4.7. And this is even more important update because the version 4.7, which is now available for everybody, received a lot of optimizations from network side, from network optimizations and multi-core optimizations and virtual machine optimizations. So right now it is possible to output using the recommended system settings. So it's like a regular CPU, 4-core CPU, and regular network card, we can output more than 2 gigabits per second from the single instance of our server. Before, the limitation was approximately 500 megabits per second. Of course, if you have a network card, which is 1 gigabit per second, like a default nowadays capture card, network card, you are not able to reach that limit. But if you have the server machine with 10 gigabits per second network card, we can fully utilize this very large bandwidth. So what does it mean for your users, for your customers, and for yourself? It is now possible to host very, very large conferences. So starting from the version 4.7, we increased the size of the conference up to 1,000 participants. Before, it was not possible because we were limited by the bandwidth. Now we reached the bandwidth limit to up to 2 gigabits per second, so 4 times larger on dedicated machines. And on virtual machines, it is a little bit lower. We recommend to use VMware, ESXi, or Workstation virtual machines, which can output more than 1 gigabit per second of the media traffic. What else does it mean? It also means that if your users host, let's say, 2, 3, or 4 large conferences simultaneously, it is now possible to host all of them on a single instance on the same server machine. So it is now possible to have 2 or 3 conferences with more than 100 participants in each on the same machine. So those optimizations are not visible for your users, but it took us a lot of effort and work to make this happen. And now we believe that Tricon Server is one of the best optimized video conferencing solutions on this planet, because it can output huge bandwidth and deliver a lot of participants video conferencing service to a lot of participants from a regular computer, which is very, very efficient. If you want to learn more about all the details we bring with the release of version 4.7, you can follow this link. I will ask my colleagues to send the link to the chat. You see there a lot of updates, a lot of feedback we have received from our customers and from yours. Feedback implemented into this version, a lot of bug fixes. So we always, as before, are trying to solve all the issues we face. You see that the changelog is pretty large, so it will take half an hour to go through it. But the most important things, beside the optimization and performance things I have shared with you already, I will cover in this webinar. So we also released a blog post about important updates of the version 4.7. It is also available via this link. But I'm not about to show you pictures. I'm about to show you the live demonstration of those new features. So let's get started. The first thing is it is now possible to manage individual layouts for all kind of protocols connected to the same conference. Before, this feature was only available for participants who are connected using our native applications. And now it is also possible to select individual layouts for participants who are connected to the conference using standard protocols like SIP or H323. And we can use the same interface, the same tool to do that. So I will open the second application I have. It is the same application I'm using right now together with you. Oh, we have a question. Javier, your question is, are there any optimization to use less bandwidth? Our clients uses a little bit bandwidth. Our recommendation is to set properly the income and outgoing bandwidth limits on the client side. You can do that on the client application, or you can do that on a user level in control panel for administrators. The bandwidth is selected automatically for each participant, and the only thing you can do is to limit the bandwidth it's using. So yes, you can do that using bandwidth settings for user or for application. Okay, I'm returning for my demo application, which I'm going to use right now. So if we create a conference. I'm sorry, I will change the language for English. Yes, that's better. And invite into this conference some participants. Let's invite also some standard-based equipment, let's say Cisco, TrueConf Group, or Polycom. Yes, we have some equipment in the call. So we have a special tool which is called Layout Management. It is located in the participants in the conference tab. So in the right corner of our application, if I go to the conference tab and go to the tools, and there is a video window layout settings. So if I click here, the interface to control the layout in real time will appear, where I can select layout for participants and for group of participants. I can also use this interface to control the conferences remotely, but the idea of this new update, it is now possible. So let's enlarge TrueConf Group image here. So you can see that the layout on TrueConf Group, I will make it larger for you. The layout is presented by gallery view. So each participant of this conference is the same size. So now I can go to the settings and create a specific layout. I'm sorry, I have to create individual layout. And now I can select the specific layout just for this participant. Let's make it different. Let's make the corner layout and after fill it. Apply. And now we see that the H323 endpoint received the individual layout. Before that was only possible for applications which use our own protocol. Now it is possible to select individual layouts for standard-based equipment. If you put a little bit of attention to Cisco endpoint on this screen, you see that Cisco endpoint still received the gallery view. So now we can create different layouts for different participants. This is a new feature. Okay, I will remove the layout, close its interface, and the group endpoint layout return to the default one, to the gallery view. Okay, I will stop this conference and proceed to the next demo. Do we have any questions so far? Oh, no questions. Okay. The second important thing, which just looks like minor thing, but it solves a lot of issues, is it is now you are not required to make the content which is generated from your desktop larger for SIP and Free2Free endpoints or WebRTC endpoints. So let me show you this. This is very simple. So when I stop sharing my screen, you see me and Rudolf like the same size, 50% by 50%. Like we are the same size, like in a gallery view. However, when I share my screen, the layout for you is automatically updated because to make my screen larger. So now Rudolf is smaller and located below my video window. This feature acts in the same way for SIP and Free2Free endpoints. So if I create the conference again and invite some standard-based equipment to the call, let's do that. And when I start to share my screen will become larger. You see, my screen is becoming larger on that endpoints as well. So this feature
By the way,
helps.
if you get the same result, please let us know in the chat somehow.
So it is now not required for the administrator or moderator of the call to create specific layout for SIP endpoints to make the content larger. However, there is one thing you have to know about is that we have, I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, now we have we are back to the gallery view. However, I will to make demonstration better, I will drop those participants. When we deliver the slideshow when we send slides as a separate content stream, as a second content stream, SIP and free-to-free endpoints receive it using standard protocols like BFCP or H239. And in that case, the content stream is processed separately on the endpoint. So we are not able to control it. It is the business of the endpoint user to control the layout. So let me show you. I will send just a picture. Which picture to send? We have many pictures. Okay. Let's send this picture. So when I send the slide, it is delivered to the endpoint as a second video stream. So now you see that the TrueConf group endpoint only displays the content. So I have to grab the remote controller and switch the layout on the endpoint, because now we have like video stream and content stream are separate. However, if I stop sharing the slides and just capture my screen, in this case, we replace the video stream. In this case, we mix my video over the content, and in this case, the video is delivered as a video stream, and this layout is controlled by TrueConf server. Okay. Do you have any questions so far about these two demonstrations? Okay. No questions, no problem. As I said, because of the very nice optimizations of the bandwidth and CPU usage, it is now possible to host very large conferences. The previous limit was 800. The current limit was raised to 1,000 participants. So that means it can be, this new capacity can be used for regular users and for guest users. So to create the 1,000 participants conference, it is not possible to do that directly from the client application, because we don't want our users to use extensively the resources of our server. So such conferences has to be scheduled in advance. So if I go to scheduling interface, and create a new conference, let's make it the public conference. And during the conference creation dialog, I have to choose the conferencing mode. And here I can select the role-based conference, which can now host up to 1,000 participants. Because this new size of the conference can only be achieved for role-based conference, it means we have to properly select the number of seats on the podium. The nature of this conference mode is quite simple. We have the number of viewers and we have a number of seats on the podium, and we can balance between those two values. So for example, if we have 1 on 1,000, that means that any user from the 1,000 users can be presented on the podium, but only one at once. If we go lower, let's say 5 on 300. So now it is possible to have up to 5 people on screen with 295 people viewing them. And we can change those participants on the podium in real time. So you have to select in advance how many seats you will need during the call, and the size of the conference will depend on the number of seats. So it can range from 1 on 1,000 to what is the lowest here, 36 on 40. So the opposite value of this conference mode means that we can have up to 36 people on screen and only 40 can view them. So that's the idea of the role-based conference. So because we have to, it is not possible to output, let's say, 36 people on screen to 1,000 participants, because it will create too many outgoing streams on the server. So to save server resources, we have created those templates. We have to select properly the number of seats on screen and the number of total participants in the call. Okay, this is also a very new feature. Another important thing is connected with the usage of mobile applications. We see that the number of mobile calls are growing significantly during last year, and we expect that this year and by 2022, a very large portion of all calls and video calls especially will happen on your mobile devices while you are on the go, working from home, or whatever conditions you are located, because now it is very important to deliver for all users a very nice mobile experience. Our first step to better support mobile platforms is this new feature, which is called support of push notifications. This is not the only thing we are going to release soon. I will tell you a little bit more, but let's describe what does this feature means. So first of all, Android and iOS operating systems, they're very strictly looking for all running applications. So they're doing this very strictly, and that means that our client application, if it is not used, is very large chance it is closed. It is not located in the memory of the phone, and the only possible way to reach this application and to tell our application that we have someone who is trying to call you is to send push notification. But our solution is a server solution. So that means the Google and Apple push servers are out scope of our server architecture. So what we did is that we added a feature which trying to connect from your server using TCP 443 TCP port, which is used for HTTPS. This is a port used by web browsers to reach our registration server. So your server, if you try to call someone, your TrueConf server instance is trying to reach our registration server, and then our registration server is sent request to Google and Apple push servers about your request to reach the specific user. And if it is successful, the user receives the notification, which allows him to answer or reject your call or receive your message. So now it is possible to reach people who are offline because we don't know. Let me show you. So I have my user here, which is called LEV. It is offline. So I'm not sure, my mobile phone, I'm not sure. I mean, the TrueConf server don't know, is it online or offline? Because the application is closed. Mobile operating system closed it. So when we try to reach these participants, our system tell us that is not available. But in the background, in the meanwhile, we're trying to reach him by sending the push notification, and it takes some time. So let me show you. The Google finally sent me the notification, and I accept the callback. So now we are connected. So the application on my phone was closed. However, we received the request from the demo server of TrueConf, then our registration server located in the internet, then it goes to the Google push notification server, and it goes to my phone. So, and my phone received the push notifications, I replied to it. And because this user was offline, our server is connecting participant using the callback mechanism. That means when I reply that I'm accepting the call, the server called back my client application, and I accepted the call, so when I've been connected. So we're going to improve this technique a little bit, so there would be no more red users you're trying to reach. There will be a special status that we can describe it as the user is probably online, but I'm not sure. Probably online. It will be like a white status with a green dot, and that means that this user was last time has been seen from their mobile phone, and they can be reached probably by using push notifications. So this feature will help to reach participants who are offline if you know that they're using mobile application of TrueConf. Another big work is undergoing for mobile native applications. So we doubled the size of our team dedicated for mobile development, and very soon we will release the new versions for Android and iOS with a better usability, better interfaces, more features, better support for layouts, better support for hardware encoding, better support for more people displayed on this in the same time on screen. They will be possible to slide, like scroll video windows of participants which don't, because we are not able to display simultaneously. It is a limitation of mobile CPUs to many participants on the same screen, so we can slide them to see other participants who are presented on the screen. So those updates are going to be released during the first quarter and maybe second quarter of this year. If you are using Google Play, you can join our beta tester group and see yourself the new version of Android application. So as I said, we believe the Android and iOS conferences will become more and more popular. So we're investing into this to deliver better experience. Okay, we have some questions, I believe. Yes, welcome back. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Okay, another very cool feature is only available only for this build, only for this moment. Is only available for system administrators, but soon it will be available for all owners, for all hosts of the conferences. It is called highlight reel. That means you can now play back the recordings on your server, and the playback automatically positioned to every chat message. So chat messages and the playback video of video synchronized. So you can see the chat messages, click on the specific message, and immediately start to see the recording from the moment this message was received to better navigate the recording. So I will show you. If we go to the server, here we have the server, my demo server, and I think we have some recordings here. Reports, conference recordings. Yeah, here they are.
And at the moment, by default, it's MP4, Lev.
Excuse me? Could you please repeat this?
By default, the recording is MP4, right, in this version?
This feature is only available for recordings which
MP4.
is made in MP4 container. If you choose MKV, this playback feature won't be available. It's only available for MP4. Yeah, sorry for the slow connection for that server, but the idea, you see that we can we see the messages on the timeline, so we can easily navigate the recording by clicking on the timeline. It's easier to do on the large scale, so we can go back to the important moments of every meeting by clicking on the chat messages or clicking on the timeline. So what we're going to do next, in addition to make this interface available to the hosts of the conferences, we're going to add offline recognition, speech recognition for English and for Russian languages. So there will be another track, another window with all transcripted words we can recognize from the recording. So it will be possible to search through the messages and search through the speeches of the conference call. The important thing is that we are not going to rely on cloud services, because most of our customers, they're quite afraid of cloud services, so we don't want to share and upload our recordings to Google or some other clouds to transcribe it. So we're going to do this locally on-premises on your server. So we're not sure about the exact model. Will it be part of our program? Most probably it will be an extension from another technology provider, which will connect together with our server to provide this transcription feature. Okay. Any questions? No questions. Let's continue. Another minor update, which is very helpful in some situations, is that we do not show in the recordings and in the mixed layouts for, let's say, WebRTC or SIP endpoints, the empty videos. So now you will never see the black box for some participant. Instead of black boxes, we have created a special placeholders which help you to better understand what's going on. So imagine the situation. You have created the role-based conference and connect a SIP endpoint from your conference room to it. And no people are presented on the podium. So there is no video on screen. So before, SIP endpoint would only see the empty black screen. So now it will be displayed, there will be displayed just for him a special message like there is no participants on the podium yet. So this is quite helpful. I will show you. If I create a conference and invite some legacy equipment to the call. Let's make larger. So when I disable my camera, you see it is now like a green and white avatar is displayed in the exact spot where of the participant whose camera is disabled. We also display the icon that camera is disabled. So it is now easier for you to understand what's going on. But this new feature is only intended for situations where we mix together videos for third-party protocols like WebRTC, like recordings, like streaming, like SIP, like H323. For our native applications, it is not required because from the interface of the application, you can understand that there is more participants in the call and nobody is presenting. Okay. Another interesting thing which is useful for large conferences, it is better to show it using this small animation. Let's start from the beginning. So you can control all participants of the call using this layout control tool. So now it is possible to do multiple actions. So you can select multiple participants and perform group actions upon them. So you can disable the microphone for all of them, or disable their cameras, or what is more important, kick them from the conference. So before that, it is only possible to manually control each participant. So now it is possible to perform group actions upon them. So I think it's better to show you this as well. So let's create a conference with all those bots. Okay, and let's go to the conference control interface. Here it is. So if you never seen this before, this feature is available since the previous release 4.5. This interface allows us not only to control the participants, kick them, invite them, disable their mic or camera. It is also possible to adjust the level of the microphone. I'm not able to adjust the level of the microphone from those bots because they don't have real microphone, but for real participants, including SIP and 3-to-3 participants, it's possible to increase the sensitivity of the microphone remotely. So if you connect some, let's say, SIP endpoint from your conference room and you are not quite happy with the level of the audio, so you can adjust this remotely using this interface. And what is also very cool, we can remotely change the camera, remotely change the microphone, remotely change the playback device. So there are many scenarios, it happens quite often when some of your users, they choose the wrong microphone. Let's say they choose the microphone on their laptop instead of the headset. And you can remotely, using this interface, change their microphone. You can change the playback device and troubleshoot the basic problems remotely without interrupting the call. So this is very, very nice interface to do that. And this interface is the same as layout control, as I showed you before. Okay, let's stop this conference and let's continue. Another thing we made we added to this release is an ability to make calls from the personal area. So TrueConf server, let me show you. Okay, let's go to our demo server. This is our demo server. Let's change the language. So here we can sign in, password. So this is the personal area. So every user has it. So the version 4.7 added an ability to make call to every participant. And the good thing here is that very few people use it actually, but we're going to add more features here, like access to the recording, access to the chat logs. But most importantly, it is now possible to reach any user or any conference by a special link. So now using our API, we can create, and this thing is using our API as well. We can receive a special link which will automatically open our application, authenticate the user on your server, and connect to specific conference or connect to a specific user. So now it is possible to create single click to join links using our API, and this feature is the demonstration of it. Okay. So, for example, if you'd like to create a special button on your intranet or somewhere which connects participant to a specific call or specific conference, you can do that. Another thing, it is now possible for private meetings. So let me remind you that we have two types of conferences: the private conference and the public conference. The private conference is only available for authenticated users who have an account. So if this is the recommended and secured way to do conferences, because only people who you trust who has an account can access it. But in some cases, like webinar, you'd like to have and invite to your conference remote users you don't want to share with account, you don't want to create accounts for them, like guest users, and we call this public conference. So for public conferences, we can create custom conference IDs. So for example, our current call, which is video.trueconf.com TCS 4.7. So this conference we are currently located has custom ID, which is TCS 4.7. Oops, we have to go different server. Yeah, so this conference, this webinar has a custom ID, this one, TCS 4.7. So for private conference, it is now possible to also select a custom ID. Before that, the ID was created automatically. It was like a random set of digits. Now you can do and create your own IDs. This is like a minor change. It's a bigger change in our architecture, very small for user, but for us, we improved our internal architecture to allow this.
And very demanded.
Yeah, it is, because people like to create like readable names for their conferences, like Monday meeting, sales meeting, like board meeting, which is usually private, which is usually closed from guests. And now it is possible. Yes, correct. Another thing, maybe some of you know, for me it was quite a surprise. Windows Server has a special command line interface version, which is called Core. So there is a Windows Server without desktop, Windows Server without any interface at all, only command line. So now it is possible to install TrueConf Server version 4.7 on this special version of Windows, which is usually used by hosting providers in cloud data centers, because the cost of the license for this type of Windows is much lower compared to the regular version of Windows. So this feature allows you to save a little bit on implementation costs affected by deploying of TrueConf Server. Another thing I forget to mention, it is yesterday we started the beta program for TrueConf Server for Linux. So if you'd like to have the Linux version of our server, please join our beta program. We have on our website, I think we have a news about it. So let me check our website. Yes, here it is. So if you are using Debian, which is most popular Linux distro, please click this button and we will provide you with free license for up to 50 users, 50, for free for 2 months, just to play with this beta version of our server for Linux. You can install it on a dedicated machine, on a virtual machine. It is also the version 4.7. It has the same features as Windows, no differences at all. So absolutely the same product, but only for Windows. So feel free to join. The only thing we require from you is give us the feedback. And we will be happy to extend your licenses in exchange for feedback. So I think we will provide beta version for free until May, probably. So until the moment we release not the full version, we release the ready version, like stable version of our TrueConf Server for Linux. So until it is not stable, we are asking you to join beta testing. So Linux is available. Okay. Yeah, the last slide. So like all other major updates of our server, major means that we change the first or second number of the version. So 4.7 is a major update. 4.7.1 is a minor update. So all major updates has to be upgraded by supervision of our manager of our technical support team, because major updates require the re-registration. So you have to re-register your version of TrueConf Server once you install the update. So please prepare this in advance. Select the proper time. Don't update the server right now. Select the time when your users or your customers are not using the server. Connect us in advance, and we will release a special bit in your license which will allow you to upgrade. I'd like to remind that the customers who have the 1-year licenses are eligible for updates for free. But customers who bought the lifetime licenses, they are eligible for free updates only during the first year of usage of our product. So if you have a lifetime license and you bought it more than 1 year ago, please make sure that you have a valid support plan purchased from us to be eligible for update. So that's it. That's the most important updates we prepared so far in the release 4.7 of TrueConf Server for you. We have a lot of news on our blog, and now we will be happy to answer all of your questions, and Rudolf is well, I believe.
Yep, guys, thank you. There are, of course, much more features. Lev, thank you for mentioning the most important. There are also such features as, for example, protections when you are registering as a guest page from the web page. There is also additional security over there, and also much more improvements in LDAP integrations and much more interesting and very demanded features. By the way, most of the features we do it because of the request we receive from you. So in case you have any ideas, for example, if you have at the moment right now, if you have any idea regarding the feature, don't hesitate, please add it to the chat, which feature you would like to be added in the next release.
Or you can send it any moment to us, like at our address sales@trueconf.com, or any other means of communication with us. We're always very happy to receive the feedback. Rudolf, thank you for this comment, because actually, as I showed in the beginning of my presentation, like we have a huge list of changes. So spare some time, go through the list. I'm absolutely sure you will see some bug fixes, some features you have requested, because we constantly hear from you. I think we have a link for the changelog. Yeah, here it is. I will send
There
it
is
one more
another
time.
question there.
Mm-hmm.
NDI or similar integration?
Yeah, thank you, guest 5234. Actually, this thing with guests, we already fixed it. So there are many people. Please pay attention to the list of participants. You see a lot of guests. We try to optimize the process of joining the webinar by eliminating the step where a user has to select their name or authenticate, just to make the process of joining the conference more straightforward. It was a bad decision. So now we see a lot of people with automatically generated names. So we already rolled it back and changed a little bit. So now you will be asked for your name in more gentle way, and all people will be correctly labeled. Thank you for your question. I will read the question just a moment. Yes, I think your question is connected with broadcasting. Like when you try to output the video conference to something else, like open broadcast software, like vMix or some other broadcasting systems. So indeed, NDI is quite popular. And what we have in our roadmap is to release a special version of Windows application, because NDI support for Linux is quite limited. And that Windows application will be able to output to a specific network card, not to general network, to specific network card, the audio and video streams and in NDI format. And you will be able to capture those streams in your broadcasting hardware or software and mix them in the way you want to. But this feature is not available yet. So our recommendation so far, if you are doing any kind of production, is to use this feature. You can move out of the layout any participant, content, video from a specific user, whatever, and try to capture it by the name of the window, or move it to a second screen and capture the whole second screen. This is the only way to connect our system with production broadcasting software so far. But we knew about this feature, and we're going to release it this year, the NDI support. So NDI export will be available, not capturing. Yeah, very good question. Yes, 2,469. Thank you. Yes, indeed. I mentioned that we spent a couple of years upgrading the internals in terms of performance, but there are another project on the go with our server, which started even more time ago, 3 years ago. We call it TrueConf Server 5.0. The Server 5.0, it is the next version of TrueConf Server. There won't be any 4.8 or anything. There will be 5.0. And 5.0 version, the 5th version of TrueConf Server, will add a lot of features. It will add support for multi-login, so you will be able to use the same account on unlimited number of devices. It will add support for group chats outside of the conferences, so you will be able to continue the conversation once you exit the conference. You will be able to return to the conversation of the ongoing conferences without being in that conference. So there are a lot of things going on which will be released. The beta version of 5 version of TrueConf Server will be available in the beginning of the second quarter, in 3 months, very soon. And along with the new version of TrueConf Server, we will also release the very new, absolutely redesigned application for Windows, Linux, and Mac, which will be called TrueConf Client 8.0, version 8. So like the 5th version of server and the 8th version of client application are going to be not released, but available for beta testing in a few months. And there will be many, many more new features. So it will be like communication platform, which can replace messaging platforms as well, not only deliver for you perfect video conferences like we're doing right now. So So
I have
yes,
one
it
more
will be
question
possible.
here in my own chat here. And the question is if it's possible to connect users from different servers in a single private conference, which you showed in your previous
Absolutely.
slide.
Let me show you. If you'd like to invite into your calls, private calls, of course, people from foreign servers, let's say outside servers, this is called federation. This is something is available for the whole time. So you have to add the server name of the remote server in the control panel for administrators in advance. There are two options. You either have to whitelist the exact servers you'd like to connect with, or blacklist servers you don't want to connect with. So we recommend to use the whitelist. By default, this option is disabled. So if you enable federation, just put the names, addresses of the server you'd like your users to connect people with. And after that, you will be able, where is this application? So let me show you. So I can add any user from any server. For example, I can try to call myself, not myself, that's a bad idea. Let's try to reach Alina from our local server. But I have to add, right now it is not possible, but if I add to the whitelist our local server, which we use internally. Oh, I have to restart. Okay, so it will take some time. But anyway, it will allow me to call this user to access its status, like online or offline, to see its profile, invite into the conferences. So yes, it is possible, absolutely. And it's possible in both directions. So if your server is whitelisted on the remote server, your users can be reached by invitations from that remote server as well.
And there was, I think, also something additionally added that in case you have a shared LDAP, then you can participate in private conference using a guest login. Right?
Yes, we also automated. Yeah, correct, Rudolf. So please imagine two servers connected to the same Active Directory instance, the same user base on two different servers. So now it is possible to automatically reach from the second server the users of the first server if they have if the accounts are the same. It sounds difficult, but it is the feature requested from us. So we definitely added a lot of new, not features, but a lot of added a lot of to stability of Active Directory integration, and some such features are also presented. Any other questions?
Seems no more questions for now.
Perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining today. Please have a nice day or evening, whatever where you are, whenever, not whenever, wherever you are located. Wherever. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you guys. See you. We will send the recording a little bit later, maybe next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.